Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more. And on this week's show, we check out some RPG, board game and miniature news that's caught our eye over the last 7 days. As well as that, you can also be on the chance to win a Lord of the Rings Battle of Pelennor Fields. So if you fancy getting your Middle-earth strategy battle game on, then you need to be a subscriber to our channel. Pop a comment below. And if you can share us around on the socials and all that other good stuff, that helps us out a lot. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody, we are back once again to bring you a weekender's worth of news, fun and games. And with me this week, I'm joined by Brother Lloyd.
Yeah.
The delightful Benjamino.
Oh.
Princess Spacebuns Free.
Hi.
And I know she hates me saying that. I'll be good, I promise I'll be good. Weirdly, this week we don't have a ton of stuff to update people on. Except, obviously, there's a massive Lord of the Rings box for the Battle of Pelennor Fields. So, you know.
All the horses.
Yeah, you want to win a box of battle, then you need to be commenting below. And presumably that is because Ben has dug out some Lord of the Rings type stuff for the news for later.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh,
He always does. Yeah. Right.
I'm sure we're still going to make an hour's long worth of show here. even with people suffering Gen Con fatigue. Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, now that people are returning from Gen Con, it means that some of the companies who went, we'll talk to you after Gen Con, may finally come
cool
back.
News, yeah.
We'll be able to stand up again and take calls. But
after they turn around and say, well, we've all recovered again. We've all been ill for 2 weeks. No, I know.
They've had days to recover. Days. Right. So we'll just crack straight into the show with the most important part of the show. It is, of course, the indie of the week. And this week, we're going to take a look at some models and minis from Models and Minis.
What?
Yeah.
How about that?
It is very much the Ronseal company of indies.
I was going to say, it does what it says on the tin.
Does what it says on the tin. So this is a American company that sort of specializes in stuff for 40k, essentially, but therefore, by default, you can use it in all sorts of sci-fi agnostic styly games. So they do a range of miniatures and add-ons and accessories and conversion kits, as well as a bit of scenery and stuff to boot. And there's some interesting bits and pieces in there. Their Imperial Guard adjacent pieces are absolutely stonking. But we're going to kick things off with their runts, because it's quite small and everybody likes a good runt. And I have to say, as far as runt-bot tanks and bombers and planes go, these are very cute indeed. So, for example, there's a runt bomb set. I know Forge World did something like that many years ago, and I had a couple of them, and I don't have them anymore, and I don't know where they've gone. But just little goblin in essentially a V1, Doodlebug. I just launched at your opponent, and you don't need to worry about landing gear or anything like that, because gravity will take care of that in the long run. So you can just get straight in there and hammer your way down. That is in stark contrast to the slightly more ambiguated fighter, which, you know, with the massive intake.
There's one that he hopes to come back in. That's
we all hope to come back, but you know, you're never going to get the chance a lot of time.
Question in this, isn't there? Yeah.
And obviously it's got that very distinctive Norky / goblin-y feel, which is always good. I mean, look at that turbine. If bird strike is an issue in the 41st millennium, then that runt fighter is not landing either.
That's how they hunt down Dark Eldar. They go after the racks and they just suck them into the air.
Suck them into the air.
Might do it,
yeah.
Which straight through any of the what are the little winged versions of the Dark Elder
Oh.
called? The ones on
Hellions?
the hoverboards. Hellions, yes.
Yeah.
They all want to be He-Man from Masters of the Universe. But they do. It's very true. But yeah, it's a really nice little set of fight whores.
That all sounds really pleasant until you visualize Marty McFly instead, and then it's not pleasant in your head anymore.
Great Scott! The Runtbelt Tank Squadron. I don't even know if these things still exist in 40k, but I don't care because, I mean, little baby tiny goblin-y tanks are got to be good for a laugh in any game.
Yeah,
and I like the fact that it's just like the size of a Polish TKS.
Yeah, because I don't think Grotz and Gretchen and stuff have their own vehicles and stuff anymore, really. But you could always use these as like standing killer cans and death dreads and that kind of stuff.
In that case, just go and play Firefight or Dead Zone, where they will work for goblin war machines in there, because there's quite a few of them. But yeah, the Runtbot tanks cobbled together, ham-fisted, nailed down and sent on their way to bloody oblivion by whatever orcs happen to be kicking around. It's all good. And if you want that World War II feel,
like that. That's cool.
Then you too can have your recon armored car, wheelie buggy.
That does look like a skate, doesn't it?
Now you say that, yes, it does. But before then, I was imagining something in the way of an SDKF Z222.
No, it's from the shoe people.
Shoo. Anyway, yeah. So I really like the little runts. They're quite cute.
Yes.
And a nice set of runty kits for them. Diving back and having a look at the more orky stuff, there are, as you imagine, a few bits and bobs that can be added to or changed up. So our little
I've seen those clankers; they look really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll get to the clankers. No, don't worry about it. If you've decided that you need something to launch your bombs with, mind you,
it's ridiculous. That's amazing.
Really fun.
I mean, now I want some sort of Katiushka style, where there's just like a bank of like five of them. Yeah, I think 5 would probably be enough because they're quite broad at the wings. But you know, whatever floats your boat.
Or we'll go with some sort of conveyor belt off the back.
Yeah.
Just channeling them up.
Is that the screaming of the rockets? No, it's the screaming of the grots in the rockets.
Yeah. 6 of one, half dozen the other. It's all fine. We're all fine here. But yeah, just a really nice little orky half track to lob your gross death. And the Behemoth super heavy tank, you know, it's a certain je ne sais quoi about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if nothing else, you could probably kill your friends with the weight of resin there. Oh, you've got all.
I say so.
That's better roar.
Gives you an alternative launch platform for the doodlebugs as well.
Really?
Oh, with the slope off it.
You could cut the barrel and stick one on the front and say, just fire it off.
I don't even think you'd need to cut off the barrel. The rocket-propelled grenades, where they would just like take a grenade and screw it into the end of a rifle and fire it off like that. I mean, look how happy that tank is.
I know. I can just imagine cans hanging off the back. Little skulls and cans. As you
like just married, but
you know, dead.
Just warged.
Just warring.
Just warring. It's not dissimilar to the fictional tank that they invented for Indiana Jones. I could just see him hanging from that barrel, being dragged along.
Oh, that tank never existed.
No.
Oh.
What's it based on then?
Based on fiction.
It
has a sort of World War I British tank feel to it because it needs to have the tracks all the way round for that bit where he falls onto the tracks and the guy gets.
Yeah.
But German tanks never did that, and the British stopped. Well, they didn't actually stop. They went to World War II with it. But yeah, it's essentially it's an orc tank.
The more you know.
But look at that interior detailing as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You too can see who's outside using your Ring doorbell on your tank. That's why there's a screen there.
The Behemoth. What a good orky name for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're not doing that.
Without doubt.
They're sitting in there watching the last episode of Neighbours. What on earth happened to this show?
Poor Neighbours.
Oh, it was garbage. The last episode, oh my God.
Why would you watch it?
Oh, you're still watching Neighbours, Lloyd?
I was curious. I just tuned in for the last episode. Oh my God, what a load of mush. Don't watch it.
Did they just bring everybody back, including all the dead people?
What I enjoyed was making my missus watch it. She'd never seen Neighbours. She's like, why the hell are we spending an hour watching this?
Wow.
Words fail me. But yes.
I really like that because one of the big things about orcs is they always loot things.
Yes.
Since there's so many of those big spidery creatures in the Necron armies now.
Necron and Chaos as well.
Yeah. You could use those as the basis for these. That's really
I'd love to paint that up as a postbox. Just something to
I need to post my letter. Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle.
Exactly.
Bring the post to you.
The downside of that is if you put your hand in the postbox to drop off a letter, is whether or not it will still be attached.
Yeah, get snipped off by goblin teeth. Yeah. That's really cool. I like that we see people doing stuff for orcs that really flows into their background within 40k, because Games Workshop have done, they've created a bunch of kits, but they're all very much sort of like, this is an orc kit, but it's not really.
It's still
based on anything. Yeah,
it's still a dustbin on two legs.
Yeah. Whereas folks have gone, well, these two kits exist within the Games Workshop range. How about if we made some kind of amalgamation of the two of them and use them for the basis of the vehicles, which is nice.
And then just the legs separately. So if you have things like killer cans, because I imagine that's about killer can size.
Yes. So. Yeah.
So if you wanted to go for something a bit different, or if you've got a Death Dread or whatever it happens to be, and just you don't want the two-limbed thing.
Also, if you've got a big enough orc, you could put their body in the middle. And this could be their mechanical legs. So you could use that as like a mech boy.
Oh!
Gazgul. Now a ridiculous plastic kit.
Gazgul is huge. So you could probably get away with trying to put his body in the middle of that.
His body in the middle of that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow. We also have little quad.
Nice.
And a little half track with flamer, because everybody loves little half tracks.
So if you're Gorka Morkering it up, use that. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. There aren't enough quads in the world, I feel. Which is a terrible crying shame.
The Gene Stealer Cults get them, so why can't the orcs have them? Yeah. So.
Well, they must have got them from somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if the orcs invented the quad in the 41st millennium? Gene Stealer Cults had actually just stole it from them and cleaned it up.
Yeah. Actually put an engine in it because it's not driven by orcish, just want and need. Yeah.
Very orc thing. You see your two wheels, well, I've got four of them. That's
always better. And a flamer half track. Again, filth, but...
I wouldn't want to be driving that. It's well seen he's got a short haircut.
Yeah. I would actually model like a burnt mohawk or something.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That'd be cool.
Just stick a couple of clump, tufts to the hair, and then just take a lighter to them. Just let it singe down. Bosh, done. Anyway, that's the Knorkies. And then we have the Marines. It's fairly extensive. I'll very quickly open the Crop Marines because there is only, I think, the add-on pack
some
of axes. Just so you know they exist. They are there. If you're after some axes, they look like that. You can pick
especially with those new Khorne Berserkers coming out. There we go.
So we can leave them behind. But the Marines are split into two bits. One is the add-ons or conversions for vehicles. And then they've also got a little conversion-y part, which is relatively sweet. Just the one helmet style for the Imperium.
Hey-oh, crossover. There you go.
I'm just saying.
You doing it.
Why would you not? Why would you not? I'll just leave that there for you to digest and think about. We also do the old stylish chevrons, so tactical squad.
And it's actually modelled on as well, so it doesn't mean you don't have to paint it yourself. No. Thank God.
Nice.
Yeah.
And even studded ones if you want to do your heresy.
Nice.
Everybody gets a bit of studdery. So those are the Marine bits. But then for the tanks themselves, there's some interesting bits and pieces they have for the Rhino, including the Nuns with Guns has that as well, although it is only this one single piece which is a pike nose, they say. So it's a front for a rhino.
Yeah, cool.
Which makes it a bit
the old
more
Demos rhino. Yeah,
a bit more brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Less slab fronted. That will just take all of the shots to it.
You could also even model that maybe as a front access point as well if you really wanted to. So if you're making like an army that was very like assault heavy, put some like handles on the front of those panels, and it could be just burst out the front. Yeah. That's for your Invicta war suits.
There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
So we no longer have the crash roll bars and an exposed space marine. In the middle.
They're like baby pouch.
Just sitting there ready to be shot to bits. Look at me up high in front of everybody.
Nobody will shoot the weakest part of this machine. The man in the middle exposed. No. But yeah.
It'd be wonderful to see this printed in a clear resin if they would have had prints.
That'd be cool, actually. Yeah, so it's like a ballistic glass.
Still see, so you can still see them.
I get
have a look at a couple of the turrets. Obviously, there's various types that will do the job for various bits and pieces. But we have here some accessory panels. So if you're looking to upgrade or customize,
nice.
Oh, that's one of those floaty tanks that Warren loves.
The Impulsor.
If you say so, floaty tank.
I only know because it's in the name of the image. But
oh wow, they all look very similar on the top.
Did something change?
Because I keep looking at the bum end, but what you should be looking at is the top bit, which is just slightly different in every case. There you go. You two can have a weapons upgrade. Whoosh. Looks like a Predator turret. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of turrets, they have some nice chunky resonant
mass cannon, twin assault cannon, and then whatever the other gun is.
I have no idea what that is.
Battle cannon sounds like a thing.
It looks like a battle cannon, but who knows? And then for your side sponsons,
nice
heavy bolters and multi melters. Yeah.
All mod cons,
mm-hmm.
And they seem to have.
That's really nice. It's very crisp resin as well. Which is quite good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just looking down the side here.
Yep.
They don't do any croup with running legs by any chance, do they?
I heard that they were going to.
They'd
heard your call and
they decided not to.
Your howl of pain.
Guard kits are I would say, the meat and or potatoes discuss of the site, because they really. I don't know if they love the guard, but they're certainly extensive. Guard bits, there are a couple of different head options. Not sure how these fit in now with the current range of Cadians, since they've been up-biggened, because these predate them. So they'll definitely fit on the old Imperial Guard plastics.
Yeah, they should fit onto the Cadians. Yeah, they should be fine still, I think.
But bear skins, if you fancy doing your British regiment guarding a palace. And then the gas mask
Cassakin style helmets.
Yeah. Weirdly, somebody was asking, they'd found a box of them the other day while
wow.
I was like, I've got a box of Cassakins, what should I do with them? And every response underneath was eBay.
Yes, sell them. Yeah.
Because the price of Cassakins is ridiculous.
Especially if you get in now before they get redone in plastics as well. So, yeah.
And then
those are really cool. I like those. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gas mask style. And then this lovely guy who looks more like a snorkeler or deep sea diver.
Yeah.
Ski.
Oh yeah, it could be ski man. Go ski patrol Cadians.
Oh my god. And they're chasing an Inquisitor.
James Bond.
Yeah. Replace James Bond with an Inquisitor. So have Eisenhorn, skiing down a mountain, pursued by traitors wearing ski masks.
But then we have some other bits and bobs. So I will have a quick look at the pre-order for the Hornet, because they're doing
it's a full whole fighter kit.
They're doing a whole fighter kit. Each of those squares is a centimeter. People can work out the sizing itself via that. But yeah, that's a big, chunky looking piece of kit.
Indeed.
Reminds me of a friend of mine got the Marauder many months ago. And it looks not dissimilar in size to that.
Yeah.
The Marauder's probably bigger still, but then it was a bigger price. But the wheeled and track units bit is good. because it fixes an issue that I have.
Like those weird Taurox tracks and stuff,
with the Taurox.
Mhm.
Right there.
I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
You don't
So
think
much
4
better.
independently moving trapezoid tracks then are cool? You are correct.
That's really neatly
It's
done.
surprising just how much better it does look with wheels.
Yeah. It's just
has more presence as well, I think. That's the thing. That's the other thing.
It just has less squatty dumpy look to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they also do wheeled versions of some of the other vehicles. So if you don't
Chimera
want,
with wheels,
if you don't want the track Chimera, you can have a wheeled version, which is really cute. I've always liked that. I don't know why.
I might be tempted by that because I'm still working on my deathcore.
Mm.
I'm still humming in hand about vehicles to go with it.
Why blue screen thing? Why you do this to me? There we go.
Oh.
So you can also get a massive dozer blade upgrade. And the interesting thing they do is, we'll see it in a little bit.
It'd be kind of the opposite direction to go, though, to go with wheels. You really want to go with tracks for deathcore, don't you?
Well,
in the trenches, yeah. You can see these as like urban response units. So for like the Palanites or something like that, going around, and the Arbiters sort of dumping out of these and things, yeah. Because they don't want to ruin their lovely streets with tracks and all that kind of thing.
But an extended rear section for the Chimera, because you can see it still uses the base and front of the plastic kit, but you get this command version upgrade.
Very swanky. I
thought so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would you not? It looks cracking. Absolutely cracking.
Well, the reason you wouldn't is someone says that doesn't fit in the footprint anymore. I'm not going to play with you.
But it still does fit in the footprint.
So you tell that person to jog on if they're going to be that anal as well.
But a couple of other little pieces I want to. Oh, there's the bulldog again. Well, I'll have a quick look at the bulldog. So again, that armored car feel in your Greyhound styly. And that,
with a gun so big it would rock the car over.
No, okay, because that's plasma. There's no recoil.
True. Yeah.
Heavy.
Fear the plasma.
Now that would tip over.
That one would. But as you can see, that's using a Russ section. Yeah. So you're completely losing the side sections off a Liber Russ to turn it into a Scout car variant, which is just, I think, cracking once again.
That's nice.
I always like the Chimera and Russ variants. I don't think GW has done enough with them. Forge World did for a while, and then some of them stick around and some of them go away.
I like this because, again, like I was looking at the Deathcore, and then Forge World don't do their open top sort of transporty type one anymore. Well,
this is essentially like a loading and ammo supply for something like an Earthshaker cannon. So that would be your winch to lift these massive shells off and drop them into a breach and a Sturm Tiger styly. But they also do a little army grabby bits kit for the Sentinel. If you two want to get Tyrannid and scream, get away from her, then you can do that.
Love it.
Because,
that's lovely. No, you must.
Now, I know what you're thinking. I've just bought a kit and you've told me to take the tracks off and chuck the track somewhere else. But what they do is the hull conversions as well. So if you've bought a full plastic kit and you've decided to stick the wheels on a Chimera to make something, then you can also buy the resin parts to make variant tanks that they've
from
done.
One kit, yeah.
Well, obviously 2 tanks from 2 kits combined and split. But we're with you. We're with you.
Yeah.
Which I think is neat, because if you are sitting with a load of tracks, they are going to end up sitting in your bits box until such times as you go, why are they still sitting in my bits box? I will never use these.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting around with variant pieces, you can grab bits and bobs.
What's the long flamer looks good. That's the one I want.
This one, the Promethean. Again.
With a big tank, a massive target on the back.
We'll have a quick look at this chunky boy. Again, just needs a set of tracks or, wheels if you want. I think they do their own set of tracks as well. if you aren't buying a kit, so you could just buy the whole resin model. That's got a very recovery vehicle feel to it. And then the Promethean, which is your Hellhound
that's it.
style thing. If you want to spray hot chemical jazz all over people's faces, then this is how you do that.
Lloyd buys one of those immediately.
Boom.
But yeah, the like I say, the Guard is sort of
it's great.
They're bigly sectioned with more of the same and variants and alternatives with your massive howitzers and all sorts to fit inside the kit. So there's a lot in there if you're a Guard player to start playing around with.
It makes sense as well because there are so many Imperial Guard regiments and all that stuff throughout the 40k universe. It would make sense that some of them would, when those carbon copy style kits have arrived from Terra or something or Mars, they'd be like, we need to change this because we're living on a water planet or something. So very cool.
There is why do you keep going blue on me, you weird thingy? There's a faceless Guard commissar in what I think is a Hellboy, what's his Croning, the wind-up man type of thing. But
I was thinking like Cobra Commander or something.
It could be Cobra Commander as well. I was looking at some Cobra Commander stuff recently. This might be good for your Krieg. Germany in World War II had Goliaths, which were like a meter wide by just over a meter long mini remote control tanks that were just bombs on tracks that they would drive into bunkers and then explode them. This is them. So these are not tanks. These are tiny little mini bomb tanks for removing walls from your, your area of
Explodey RC.
Yeah. Which is what John does at the weekends. I don't think they mean to
without the exploding.
But sometimes they go out and they don't come back.
Oh my God, that's what Roombas are now. Roombas are little tiny explosive delivery devices. Just watch out for it moving around in your living room.
There's also a host of resin bases. Have a quick look at one of them. And then they've also got some scenery, both 15 and 28.
Nice.
And then the bases themselves are a variety of sizes, which will suit 40k, definitely, and
Skulls,
pretty much everything else. Skulls, they also have some rune tiles and a bit more sci-fi sort of walkways and things. So it's just a case of going in there and having a nosy around and seeing what's lurking. Obviously, a base covered in skulls screams Warhammer 40k. But we'll crack open the defense lines and the terrain. The defense lines obviously good. Everybody likes a nice Aegis defense. I don't know why you keep doing this. You're very confusing. But this one's been orkied up.
Yeah.
So sometimes people need a barricade. I'm not sure why orcs need a barricade. Is it to corral the people towards the orc boys who are charging at them? You just wall off all the side routes and force people down one road.
Yeah.
It's probably a good way of doing it. But the terrain as well, then you've got a host of pieces from the very small sort of scatter and objective type things. Everybody needs oil barrels for objective markers, to the bigger 12-piece trench section.
System.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's wide enough that you'll be able to fit one.
It's awesome, but nobody's ever going to play on it. Like, we built this awesome trench board in the studio. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play on it, ever, outside of us filming on it. Nobody wanted to. So I don't want to play in trenches. I want to be able to move around.
People are weird. We also built a city and people don't want to. It reminds me of Terry Pratchett.
We built a city,
where they talk about city's no place for warfare. The best place for city fighting is outside on the plains where you can move around. It felt like that in many respects. But anyway.
So, let's cover that. We built a massive city and people came in and dismantled the city so they could play on an empty table.
It's a side of the time, I'm afraid. Because if you play on a city full of stuff, then if you win first turn, you don't shoot your opponent off and win. You have to move and shoot them, which is terrible. I will just point this out because
very cool.
Everybody needs a police phone box, even the 41st millennium.
Of course, yeah.
And I would also like to point out its order code. is T4RD15.
That's great.
So I'm just saying.
Well done, models and minis.
Yeah, if you require something that's a little bit bigger on the inside, then this site has that. But yeah, scatter, a go-go, dumpsters and all sorts. 15mm stuff is a little bit more selective in what they have. It does say railways. I will open it because otherwise Lloyd.
I was going to say I saw a word that I immediately thought Lloyd would jump on. So
yeah. But you can add bits and pieces. Dumpsters and skips. Not seen so much in the 41st millennium. I think they mostly just let servitors and the poor eat the stuff that falls on the floor.
Probably.
But still handy for other games outside of that. And then, like I say, the 15mm bits we will open that just so I don't get punched.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. Like I say, there's not much in there.
Oh, there really isn't?
No. So you've just got like a bumper, straight sections, a crossing, and then some curved sections. So it's
that's still more that you get from the usual kits. Do they do like crossings in the regular kits? I don't think I've ever seen a railway crossing in the regular kits from Flames of War.
No.
I don't think
I've seen curves and straights, and I've seen dividers, but do they do crossing? Hold on, what am I talking about? There's no such thing as a bloody crossing in a railway. Let's have a look at a road crossing.
Yeah.
That's
that makes sense.
Just wait at the traffic lights for the other train to go.
Otherwise your cars, they end up on a YouTube video on the front of a train going very quickly. Barbed wire as well if people are after some barbed wire for your games of Flames of Warsies. You can do that as well. But yeah, so
what a nice selection of stuff.
Yeah, like I say, mostly slanted towards the grim, dark sci-fi world.
Your barbed wire though, that's being a bit lazy. It's just wire twisted with a drill and then wrapped around a pencil.
Yeah. So it's two cores of wire and then done. And if people want to buy their own wire, you can get it from wire companies everywhere.
Wire companies everywhere. There you go.
I get mine from Technical. It's no scientific wire.
So you get it and you pull out a length and then you pull it back on itself like this and then put it in a drill and then you attach this end and you zizz it around and it's twirled and then you wrap it around a pencil. Job done.
Job.
Who would have thought you'd be getting a mini hobby lab right in the middle of the right in the middle of the show?
Well, there you have it. If you're keen on getting any of that, you can check them out at modelsandminis.com. And if you forget that name, just search for Models and Minis. It's not far away. We're going to take a quick switch. And when we come back, we'll be taking a look at the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, we're back once again, and this time we're going to be taking a look at the news, and we're kicking things off with a bit of Tolkien news, Ben.
Oh, yes. So this was very, very nice to see over the weekend. Normally, when Games Workshop do a Warhammer preview, it's centered around Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar, or they tend to sort of drop a couple of things here and there based on skirmish games, so Necromunda and Warcry and that stuff. But this weekend, the weekend just gone, was all about Middle-earth and the Middle-earth strategy battle game. So the big news that they announced was that in sort of September, we're going to be getting pre-orders for this, but it'll actually get a full release in December. We're going to be getting the new starter box, the new battle set for the Lord of the Rings, which is the Battle of Osgiliath. So everyone will remember the Battle of Pelennor Fields, which was the previous box to this that came with a whole bunch of Rohan and the new Theoden model alongside the Witch King on the Fell Beast, and then a whole bunch of orcs and trolls and that kind of thing, so, which is very, very good. Came with the rulebook and all that sort of nice stuff. They have switched things up a little bit here. So instead of telling the Battle of Pelennor Fields, they're switching it over to Gondor versus Mordor here.
Awesome.
And we have new models for Faramir, Damrod, and Madril, who you'll know from sort of Two Towers and also the Return of the Kings, going up against Gothmog and also a mounted version of Gothmog on the back of his warg. Both sides then get a bunch of the admittedly old plastic miniatures. So from those from sort of the first sort of 5 or 6 years of Games Workshop's tenure with the game in the year 2000. But you also then get that modular Osgiliath ruins terrain that you see in the background of this shot as well. If this is anything like what they did for some of their previous terrain sets, like the Mirkwood and stuff like that, Dol Guldur and that kind of thing, then this will be very, very nice to play around with. I know a lot of people on YouTube who will be cutting this up and using it for all sorts of different things. But yes, leading the way are the 3 new miniatures, as you can see here, for Faramir, who is in the middle, Damrod, who is on the left, and Madril, who is on the right. And it's actually very good for Damrod because previous to this, he'd had a miniature that actually wasn't his character.
Nice.
So there we go.
Nice. Him being a massive disappointment in the centre.
I was going to say, it's still a disappointment. They really missed out on not making the tokens tomatoes, didn't they? They really did.
And my model's not fit for your tables.
I know.
So these miniatures will come as the new plastic kits that we've seen, the multi-part ones that they've done for Theoden and Eowyn and Eomer and all those different characters over the last couple of years. And they'll also come with those scenic bases. So you'll either get to have them on the ruins of Osgiliath, so them sort of leaping through the ruins. I have noticed that Faramir is doing a very Boromir chasing to save the hobbits pose there, which is quite interesting. So you can either have heroic. Yeah. So you've either got the ruins as you see there, or you could switch out those stone ruins for forests as well. So if you want to have them hunting down Oliphants and stuff in the midst of Middle Earth, then you can have that as well.
Nice.
On the other side of things, you've got Gothmog, Returns of Sauron, who is going to be leading the forces of Mordor against Gondor and everybody else. For the time of the orc has come, so you get a version of him on foot, as you see there, and also one of him on the back of his pretty nasty warg, which you see in the movie for about 2 minutes before it gets let off.
It's mostly here, isn't it?
But yeah, so very cool new model for that. And obviously, while Gothmog is sort of an invention in many ways as well, it's also based on stuff from that particular section of the book, and also Gothmog itself from back in the annals of Middle Earth history as well, which is very nice to see. But yeah, so this is going to be the new set that's coming out, Battle of Osgiliath. It will also come with a updated rulebook, so not a new one. So it's still the same rules as are behind me on the shelf over here. I wonder why they're there. But it's sort of plays around with some of the FAQs and errata that's come up over the last couple of years to try and make it a little bit easier to dive into. They've also changed all of the pictures in the book to match the Gondor versus Mordor setting. So it's all very, very much themed around that set, which I think is kind of nice as well. So that's going to be, as I said, coming up for pre-order in September, with then a full release in December. I wonder why it's getting pre-orders in September. Maybe it's to do with the Rings of Power series.
Could it be? Could it be? Do you think, Ben? Has that idea only just percolated?
Who would have thought? Yeah.
Quickly distract people from the Rings of Power.
In addition to that, another really cool sort of starter entry point for a lot of people. So obviously you've got that big box set, but they're also putting together these battle host sets. So with the battle host sets, they're going to give you a selection of the older plastic kits. So in this case, you get the Warriors of Minas Tirith and the Minas Tirith Cavalry, as you see, alongside one, or in some cases two, of the new miniatures that have been done in plastic over the last couple of years. And these are designed so they are another stepping block if you've potentially started with Battle of Osgiliath, to then sort of expand your armies in the Middle-earth strategy battle game to use them on the tabletop, which I think is a very cool idea. So you've got the Minas Tirith one here, which comes with those warriors, and you've got Gandalf and Pippin, and there'll also be foot versions of them. You've got the Mordor battle host, which comes with the new mounted Witch King of Angmar. There's also a foot version in the final box as well, alongside a bunch of Mordor orcs rather than the Morannon orcs that we saw in the Battle of Osgiliath box, and then also a bunch of the Warg Riders at the back as well. I actually think those Warg Rider kits are still some of the best ones they've done. Actually, I think they're really cool.
Just a shame they're mounted on wargs.
Well, yes,
they look terrible. I can zoom in on that kind of.
They're quite rat-like, aren't they?
Oh, they're like something.
Very hyena-ish, I suppose. Yeah. There's also 2 additional sets that have been brought out that will be pretty good as a sort of like another matchup. So you've got the Rohan battle host, which comes with Aomer at the front with his spirit at the ready to take down a Mumakil, alongside a bunch of the riders of Rohan, if you don't mind painting horses. And also
I got about 50 of them. I got about 50 riders of Rohan.
I have about 30 in the box still, So.
Do you have any walkers of Rohan?
That's very true.
Well, good boy.
I think I have some because
they have their own dedicated walking shop as well.
I was doing conversions. Yeah, I have walkers. I don't think many of them run though.
And then there's also the Isengard set that comes with the new Saruman model mounted on the back of his horse, as you can see there.
Just adding insult to injury, having such a dynamic Saruman who never featured in the film at all.
Yes. And then obviously there's a on-foot version, and then there's Grima Wormtongue there as well. And then also you get the Palantir of Orthanc on the thing. Now, I know a lot of people have looked at these and gone, why didn't they just make new plastic miniatures? Obviously, everyone would have loved to have seen brand new core infantry for all of the different factions of Middle-earth. But plastic production costs a lot of money. And Middle-earth isn't exactly the biggest seller for Games Workshop. So I can understand why they've kind of used the old stuff alongside the new. Although, fingers crossed, if this sells well and gets more people involved in the game, maybe we will actually see some redesigned sets in the future. That would be very nice.
But is the new stuff like significantly better?
The new plastic models, like you see those character models there, are way better. Way more detailed than the original plastics. The old plastic kits that you're seeing here, they suffer.
Bang in the center.
Yeah, so that's the Saruman, which is the new one, which I think is amazingly well detailed. Next team, you've got the Uruk-hai troops. They suffer from that thing that a lot of plastic kits did from kind of like that period where you had like slippage effectively. So you had large areas of the model that kind of just blended together.
Think of the do undercuts.
Yeah.
I have a solution for all these people who want new models. Ambiguate me so I can explain to them. You want to go and get hypnotized to think that this game never existed, so you can experience it.
Just like Peter Jackson.
Just like Peter Jackson wants to on his movies. Because he wanted to hypnotize himself so he could watch his own movie and go, oh, I like this. Who the heck made this? But he didn't. But you could do that. You could get yourself hypnotized to think this game never existed and all these models would be new to you.
These are amazing, yeah. But,
another reason they're probably not churning out the re-release or new sculpts of older stuff, I think they're still under license and everything still has to go through studio approval.
Yes, I would imagine so.
If they make a new set of Uruk-hai, they've got to go off and be proofed and then return. Likewise with the character models as well.
I can just foresee with the Gondor, there was particular ones with the Gondor shield. They are going to be a nightmare to paint.
Painting the trees is horrible.
Return of the Proof. It sounds like one of the movies.
It's one of the endings in Return of the King.
So I'm not a huge fan of speed painties and contrasts and that sort of stuff, but doing the trees now are much easier because they didn't have those then. Spray the whole thing silver/white and then just contrast black and let the fact that it's there. And if you really want to hit it with a varnish first, then contrast it and then use airbrush cleaner to take the contrast, whatever, off your high points. You can just rub it off once it's dry. It's much easier these days.
So those some new really good sort of entry points, I think, for everyone diving into Middle-earth. Obviously, with the Rings of Power coming out, everyone's going to be getting a little bit more into that kind of Middle-earth mood. So it makes sense for Games Workshop doing something like this. They obviously don't have the rights to do anything with the Rings of Power currently. Obviously, they would have announced it by now, as they tend to do. But they're
probably waiting to see if it's even worth.
See if it's any good. Yeah,
because it could be crap. Imagine going all that effort to get a license for something and then go, "This is crap."
But at least they're kind of like getting onto that bandwagon and trying to get more people involved in the game. Because, as I've said in the past, it is the best game that Games Workshop have ever made. Sorry. Don't at me. There we go.
You should get hypnotized then, Ben, so you can experience it all in you and go, this is definitely the best game ever.
I'm doing that right now. But yes, alongside the new starter set and also those new battle host sets, there's also a bunch of new miniatures that were also announced through Forge World and also in plastic as well. So leading the way for the Elves of Rivendell, we also got a brand new miniature for Glorfindel, who is one of the best characters in Middle-earth history, an amazing bloke, seen it all, fought everything, and possibly one of the most badass elves that exists. He obviously wasn't in the movies. He was replaced by Arwen. But looking very, very dashing with this new Forge World resin miniature. He's even got the bells on his horse because that's how Aragorn knows that it's him coming down the road. Oh my God, it's so amazing. But there
it's
you
like
go.
sleigh bells ring, bells glistening.
Yeah, he can never hide from orcs. They always know where he is. But yeah. So you've got a brand new miniature for Glorfindel there, or two, I suppose. They're going to be coming out actually this weekend via pre-order from Forge World, alongside these other two kits that we're about to look at as well. So Rumil and Orfim, the brothers of Haldir.
Fat elf.
Fat elf, yes. Who gets distracted by Aragorn. That's why he dies. Jesus, God damn it, Aragorn. But these guys are going to be coming out as well to be added into the mix for the War in the North supplement that came out not too long ago, and also as replacements for some of the older kits that are out there for both these characters. At least for Roomhill anyway. Orfin never had a problem miniature, which is cool. And then they're going to be redoing the Galadrim Court as well. So this was a set that was done in Finecast. And now they're actually going to be done in Forge World resin. Ding. And they're going to be brought to the tabletop. So they won't have terrible, terrible spears. So there we go. I would love to see someone paint these in a slightly less like over-the-top gold. I think a slightly duller gold would look really, really nice on these for using them.
I do like that their sigil appears to be a dragon eating egg on toast.
I'm saying that now.
Egg on toast sounds like a character from Lord of the Rings. There you go. Or Game of Thrones. Yeah. Egg on toast. But yeah, so these miniatures are going to be coming out from Forge World this weekend via pre-order. So pick those up. And here's where you get the Rings of Power thing going on. You got a new version of Elrond, Master of Rivendell. That is half-elven.
That is Hugo Weaving's face up the top. That really is. They really transferred that Elrond energy into that one.
After many years of people going, well, that doesn't look like Keith Urban. Carl Urban, not Keith Urban. Keith Urban's a country singer. We have a new version of Elrond who's on foot and mounted.
It's sweet. But it does present a problem for those who don't like painting eyes. Now you've got teeth to paint as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I find teeth a lot easier to paint because you just put like one little line on, whereas you can always mess up the eye. So, yeah. But yeah, the on-foot version of him is just, part and parcel of that opening scene from the Fellowship of the Rings, from the Last Alliance, which is, of course, where the Rings of Power is going to end eventually. So, yeah, a very cool miniature there to lead your forces. I may have dug out my old Elrond, my old Gil-galad, and lots of the old Rivendell elves to paint for reasons, but there we go. And the new Elrond also comes packaged with this new, because they probably had some room on the sprue, High Elf Warrior with banner, who is looking very nice indeed. And actually, that is proper sculpted detail.
It would be nice to see this get some traction to the front. Exactly. Actually go, let's revisit the kits. Yeah,
because look, that High Elf Warrior has all the same kind of like hallmarks as the original set that came out back when the Fellowship of the Rings box released in sort of 2000, 2001. But there's just so much detail baked into it. There's lots more movement as well. And obviously, whenever you're running a Rivendell elf army nowadays, everyone's in like the same pose with their hand and a half swords above their head and all that kind of thing. So it would just be really nice to see them come back to the table and do something more with these as things go. But as I say, if these sets really take off and suddenly Middle-earth is like slap bang in the middle of everyone's sort of zeitgeist and everyone's playing it, then I think everyone's going to be diving in to pick up some more stuff for them, and then maybe Games Workshop will come back and do some more stuff. But it's very nice to see that the little team at Games Workshop who are working on the Middle-earth game are getting their time in the sun, which is nice to see. So
the little team that could.
The little team that could. Yeah.
Speaking of little team that could, Free, Renegade.
Oh, see, we did that. So if you haven't noticed, quite an interesting IP. I just want to sit there and go like this for a second, but I'm not going to. Quite an interesting IP over at Renegade. They're going to be turning American Psycho, the movie, into a board game. So earlier on this week, they announced that they're going to be bringing familiar scenes from the movie, characters, and showcasing the movie artwork across the resources. And it's safe to say that it's going to be an atmosphere that's destined to be particularly narcissistic and cutthroat.
Just saying, we're looking at the Renegade homepage.
Yeah, I was going to say, what the heck are you looking at?
We're currently looking at the upcoming games from Renegade as we're going.
It's all of the good things: Renegade, Transformers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, and then all of a sudden, American Psycho.
American Psycho. This is what I mean. It's quite an interesting IP that has come from them. And
I want to listen to the smooth sounds of Huey Lewis and the News.
I mean, it's so what you've got to do. So 2 to 5 players are going to need to keep it together. So they're going to be taking roles of highly important, according to them, banking investment lawyers from peers and peers. So it is a killer environment. So during the game, you're going to be entering a scene and taking charge of a good old business meeting. So it's going to end up in blackjack style, kind of showcasing the highest numbers to win with certain suits. Right. Yeah. But there is a killer suit in there in the ranks that can trump everything, that can keep things a bit tense and high. So after the cards have been acknowledged, there will be heading into the movie scene equivalent with everybody's insufferable egos and everybody trying to prove themselves. You're going to be adding in special cards that are going to change the mechanics, like the confession and the detective that you see there, and it can go in the favour or against anyone in the round. So you're going to need to be kept on top of the food chain for this. You're going to need to have the best.
Did you say be kept on the top of the food chain?
Yeah, you're going to need to keep yourself up the top of that food chain. Rory.
You mean eating people?
Yeah, well, that's what psychos do, technically.
They've missed a trick. They've missed a trick there, I think, though. Go back to that image of all the stuff.
Good.
Stuff image.
You know, they've made this board game, right?
Yeah.
But there's only one card here that represents what I actually want to play. And that's the bit where we all compare our business cards.
Oh, yes.
They should have included business cards in this. A business card comparing drawing.
I know. That would have been amazing.
Look at the emboss on that. Oh, he's beat me. Flipping emboss.
It's really cool. If you want to add some like different extra spice in it, there's some murder cards in there, and they're going to be scattered throughout the deck for those that have a bit of a short temper on a particular day, and they're going to result in a negative point count for the player that's dealing out the death. But there is a psycho in the midst, so really? Murder is going to be in their favour. There isn't a release date yet. Not confirmed, but we do know that it is on pre-order coming out in 2023 and for $30. So it's really quite a cool one, actually.
Something that I wouldn't have thought would be turned into a game, but it sounds quite interesting, actually. So.
It does sound quite. I don't usually like movie artwork on cards either, but I think given the nature of it, it's quite fun.
It'll be fascinating to see how that develops. I imagine it'll be a sort of, a hidden werewolf style game where you're attempting to work out who's going on, but I just love the idea of Renegade section in a shop. My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and then Patrick Bateman's big grinning face. I mean, I don't know who put that together. Somebody somewhere has been spending too much time looking at 80s cartoons and just went, I've got to find an IP. I've got an IP. I'll show you. I'll tell you what we're doing, Renegade.
The direct opposite of My Little Pony,
Speaking of things coming in 2023, Free League have announced a return to a world of fantasy that's been massively popular in Sweden and not really much outside of it, with the Dragonbane or Drakar och Demoner, which is essentially their version of D&D. It's about 40 years old. It's gone through various iterations. This is some of the artwork from the, I think, third, maybe fourth version of it. But it's been on the cards for a little while. The company that originally started it based it on a sort of a generic fantasy kind of RuneQuest setting, which is why you have things like Duck People, because it comes very Glorantha based. Second edition lent heavily on this. It also includes werewolves or werewolf people. I think possibly just wolf people rather than werewolves themselves. So you have lots of different tropes, but it went through various iterations over the years where they went from like a percentile based to a D20 based system, and then even had a whole dark fantasy. So people may be aware of Chronopia, which I'm a big fan of. I wasn't aware Chronopia was a version of this by Target Games. They released an edition that was just, they went, we're going to chuck out the generic fantasy and go whole hog into this dark fantasy that we made up, at which point the fan base went, you what? So they decided the two halves of the planet, the two hemispheres, Chronopia happens on one side, and then all of the previous published, more generic fantasy work happens on the other hemisphere. Whether or not they keep that is another matter, because they've obviously picked up the Drakar license, but then I don't know who owns the Chronopia license. I don't think they're still connected anymore since Chronopia went off to be a miniatures game. But so far, little announcement. It will be early 2023. It'll be coming to Kickstarter, and you can sign up for the Kickstarter to be notified when it launches. They have said Johan Ehrkrantz will be doing the artwork. And then I messaged him to find out, because they brought a lot more Scandi folklore into the edition where he was brought on board, but he was one of several illustrators. He has confirmed that he will be doing all of the illustration for this. So
that's amazing.
like Vaesen from Free League already, this will just be wall to wall. Interesting this week that people are out there and living at large at a medieval festival and fantasy festival in Sweden. Johan is there along with people from Free League, and they've been doing some sort of early version showings of it. Also, they've been talking to people about doing LARPs. There've been interviews with some of the games design as well. So nothing on the actual system. So it may or may not be the Mutant Year
Zero system.
Yeah, or it might be more bespoke, because they did that with Blade Runner, uses a bespoke system.
Yeah, I like that. I think I was mentioning this to you, I think it was last week, that they've still got that kind of little nod towards Elric in there.
Yeah.
So the Dragonbane cover, I mean, one of the old covers for Drakar had Elric on the front of it. And so they've still got the sort of white-haired warrior with the big sword and stuff in the mix.
Forget about really that. Cool. What about the nod to Howard the Duck?
I know, right?
If you think that nod to Howard the Duck is good, I'll show you one other then. If we just go back to, where are we? There we go. We'll finish off the story with a look at.
I know, right?
Darkwing Duck.
I mean, if you want to play a rogue, play a duck. So cool. Why not? And I mean, as far as fantasy races go, it's no weirder than short people with hairy feet.
Well, yeah.
Or half goat people. You know?
We have Kenku. Why can't we have duck people?
Yeah. So they do, and they're awesome.
Have you,
I really like what Johan's been working on for these as well.
Have you made a firm choice on what kind of class you're going to take, what kind of character you want, Ben? Because you were split between, you usually got a dwarf in there, but you've just added some couple of extras that you'd like. Is there?
Well, because dwarf would normally be my de facto choice, but I just love those wolf people. I've always wanted to be a werewolf in D&D, but it's kind of hard to do that, really. Well, not really, but yeah, you know what I mean. In using the basic mechanics and all that kind of thing. But it'd be really nice to play a wolf man. I think that'd be amazing. So yeah, I already know about 4 people who would want to be a duck as well. So our adventuring party might be a wolf man and then like 4 ducks.
Actually, if you're going on an adventure to raid some gold, if you can get rich man ducks gold, that would be class.
Go full Scrooge.
Yeah,
that would be
all his gold.
Just very first thing. Yeah, a load of ducks trying to rob Scrooge. Or what was his mad Scottish adversary called?
Was he not called McDuck?
I can't remember.
I
just remember the pair of them were fighting over who was the richest duck. Anyway,
said in the Taggart accent. Yeah.
If you've been, it's a murder. If you've been dying for some weird fantasy, I say weird, more classic fantasy, but bridging a couple of different sort of games, then keep an eye out for that one. Because I'm sure there'll be more information coming in the not too distant, especially after this week is finished, where they'll have done all of the various interviews and seminars is the word I'm looking for.
Someone asked them, will they be doing Count Docula then? That'd be cool.
A vampire duck. I mean, there's beyond the realms of possibility. Plenty of vampires kicking around.
I'll save you, ducky poos.
Ravenloft meets.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Right.
Curse of Count Docula.
Amazing.
If you like your fantasy a bit more realistic, though, free,
If I like my fantasy a bit more realistic, am I doing something?
No, I'm just saying, if you like your fantasy a bit more realistic, here's one that you're going to be fond of.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't know.
A bit more grim and dark.
Witcher! Oh, I'm so excited. Witcher. This looks amazing. So Ben wrote this up, didn't you? And I've just had a look at the bard, look at the detail. Is that Dandelion?
So this is the new sets that came out over the Gen Con period from Monster Fight Club for use with, alongside the Altalsorian role-playing game of The Witcher, which is based off the video game and all that kind of stuff. I played incorrectly. So this set comes with, there's, I think that's like 5 sets from the moment for you to choose from. So the first of these is Geralt, Yennefer, and Dandelion. So you've got your sort of typical personalities that you'd expect if you wanted to play named characters within your games. I'm approaching this from the kind of the viewpoint of diving into Rangers of Shadow Deep and making, Geralt and his friends going off on adventures. I think that'll be pretty good, as the Rangers against all the strange creatures out there in the wild. So you've got the first set with Geralt, Yennefer, and Dandelion in the mix. The second one includes some sort of NPC-style characters or player heroes if you wanted to go down that route. So you've got a dwarven craftsman, a human man-at-arms, and then a human mage as well. So they've done a couple of interesting character models there that you could use as stand-ins for who you're playing in the game or just as people you meet along the way. You could also use them as NPCs in your Rangers of Shadow Deep Witcher mashup. There we go. Ooh. There we go. See, very nice stuff. Nice. And then to cap things off as well, you can't have a Witcher without things for it to witch.
Any
so there's no lesson, unfortunately, but I'm sure they will work on one. Sundancer has already asked that question in the comments. So there's 3 sets of the necrophages. So the first one of these comes with 3 drowners, which are kind of like your bog standard enemies that you'll be running into as you're wandering around the world of The Witcher. The second set comes with 3 ghouls that will be prowling around the battlefields of the Witcher world, feasting on bones and bodies and all that kind of thing. So you have to go and try and find their nests and burn them down and blow them up with your explosives. And then finally, we also have a set that comes with 2 of the same ghouls from the previous set, but you also then get a grave hag in there as well. So it's essentially looking at creating almost like a little bit of a progressive path narratively towards you fighting the boss, effectively. So you could start off going up against the drowners, move through to dealing with the ghouls, and then finish off with the grave hag boss battle at the end, perhaps, if you're going to be doing them in a role-playing setting. So as I say, these are by Monster Fight Club, who have worked previously with Altalsorian to make the Cyberpunk range, which is now extensive and filled with all sorts of different miniatures. And I see no reason why they won't do exactly the same thing when it comes to the Witcher game as well. For those people wondering about materials, all plastic, all of them coming in around sort of like 28 to 32, nearer towards 32 in scale, sort of going with that heroic proportions, that kind of thing as well. And by all accounts, the plastic miniatures from Monster Fight Club are very, very nice. So if you are looking at these and thinking, should I pick them up? I would imagine the answer is yes. So
it's quite actually nice to see the faces and the detail in the likes of the drowners and stuff, because usually when I'm face to face with drowner, I'm running in the other direction, not looking it in the face. So it's dropping nice actually to see what their face looks like, because I'm looking at that. Is that a drowner? Oh, I can see the body that it's a drowner, but wow, their faces are quite human. It's quite interesting to see, because I'm usually in the other direction rather than giving them eye contact. So it's really nice to see detail.
What is this stuff dangling between their legs?
I think that's going to be a loincloth.
Seaweedy loincloth, yeah.
Well, because I didn't see straps. Maybe there is straps there that are just really thin. Sort of
it could be their belly has just got over.
Yeah, I think it's cinching around their belly. They need to do a little bit of working out.
It's interesting that they're plastic, because the initial stuff I'd seen from Monster Fight Club was resin.
Yeah, so they did a lot of their they do a lot of their initial ranges now is kind of like resins for you to pick up from like Gen Con and events and all that kind of thing if you want to get them early, and then they move over to creating them as hard plastics. I think these ones have gone directly to hard plastic, I think, although there may have been some other versions you could have picked up at events over Gen Con over the last weekend or so. But if you're interested in these, they are well worth picking up, and they're all sort of one-part models as well, so you don't have to worry about sticking anything together. Most of the time you just pop them out of the packet and they're ready to go, which is always nice to see.
Cool.
There we go.
Returning then to the world of Wampster, the last bit of news, Ben.
Yes. So we started with Middle-earth, and we are moving to another epic story told within the realm of Warhammer now, where we look to see what's coming up for Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, in the forums over the last couple of days, we've had people talking about, where is all the Horus Heresy stuff? Well, don't worry. It's all here. So all these things that you were waiting to turn up are now actually going to be hitting the Games Workshop store this weekend. So leading the way is a new book, because Games Workshop never tire of releasing books. And that is the Liber Mechanicum book, which allow you to play the armies of the Omnissiah on the tabletop, be they loyal or traitor. So yeah, some very cool stuff there for you to dive into and play around with. We'll come with all the rules for playing with all of those Forge World bits and pieces that you have lying around. And it will come either physically or digitally, depending on where you want to go. In addition to the book, to kind of help people out, they've also put together a set. I say help people out to make more money. They've put together some armigers that have been themed towards the Age of Darkness, because the knightly houses are not a new phenomenon within the world of Warhammer 40,000. They've been around for a very long time. And so they are now creating a set of these armigers that you can see there that can be done as either ranged or melee versions of their walker selves. And they will come with transfer kits that will allow you to ground them within the Horus Heresy. So all the heraldry is very different from that period. And so that's why you've got those new transfer kits in there as well. But essentially, they're a reboxing of previous kits. But moving on to the proper awesome Horus Heresy stuff, they're going to be releasing a bunch of vehicles separately now. So you're going to be able to get your hands on the Spartan Assault Tank, which is your essentially Space Marine delivery system for dropping as many Space Marines and or a Primarch into the heart of the action alongside some Terminators on the battlefield.
It's the Indiana Jones tank again.
Yeah, it's a lot squarer than what I think of when I think Heresy. Because I usually think of the roundy domes and stuff.
Oh, well, that tends to be the case with a lot of the Custodes-y stuff, really. But yeah, there are sort of like the Space Marine jet bikes had a lot of round edges and all that kind of thing too. But yeah, so you've got the new Spartan Assault Tank there, which was available in the previous Age of Darkness box. There's also the Sakaran Battle Tank that's coming out. There's some curves.
There's a wee round dome.
There's a round dome and some round sponks and holders. So yeah, you've got the new Sakaran Battle Tank that's coming out finally, after a long time for people to dive into and play around with. And then alongside that, we're going to be seeing the release of the 2 updated Contemptor Dreadnought kits.
See what I mean? So much curvier.
Yes,
so much more curvy.
There's your bell curves. Ooh la la. Yeah.
Real dreadnoughts have curves.
Real dreadnoughts have curves.
I mean, that actually looks way better than a dreadnought.
Oh, yeah. I think it's because it looks less boxy and clanky than the old one. Although I do have a soft spot for classic dreadnought, but that's just me. But yeah. So you got the Contemptor Dreadnought there, and then the Leviathan Sea Dreadnought, as you see. They will come with a whole host of different weapon loadouts. So just get the blue tack and or magnets ready. There we go. Alongside that, we've also got the release of some more stuff from the box sets. So the 2 Praetors that were available in the Age of Darkness box set are going to be available separately now as well. While they have been painted up here to represent the Sons of Horus and the Imperial Fists, you do not need to paint them up as such because they have no markings on them. So you can paint them for whatever legion you like and tinker and mess around with them as much as you would like to as well. So if you want to turn them all into Alpha Legion, you can do that. In fact, you could even paint them as Sons of Horus and just say they're Alpha Legion, because that's what Alpha Legion do. And also, it's a lot easier to paint Alpha Legion. So there we go. Just metal and then contrast.
Have they forgot why the studs were on those shoulder pads? Because it looks like they have. Because here they look highly ornamented and decorative, whereas in the Heresy it was, we're running out of armor. Here's a cheap way of putting extra armor on the shoulder, on the shoulder that's leading when you're firing, and we'll just put extra rivets through that shoulder pad, and it's ablative armor. Whereas this looks like, oh, we've always used big rubbly bits on our shoulder pads. They look great. Oh, we all wear these. Not just gone down Clyde and got some shipwright to stamp on a couple of rivets through the side of it. Anyway, my rant over. Cataphracts.
So yes, we also got 2 new, two returning Terminator squads as well.
These go the opposite direction for me. I hate these. How much?
You don't like these?
Nah, new Terminators. Yeah. These look wonky to me.
Yeah. So you've got the Cataphracti Terminator squad that you see there, which will be very familiar to a lot of people. And then there's also the Tartarus Terminator squad as well, which came from the Burning of Prospero set. The previous set was in the Betrayal of Calthorn as well.
This I like these much better.
Curves. Lloyd loves
they have curves. They have curves. I just don't like the look of.
That's a Wolverine pose at the bottom, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That is very
snicker.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
he looks like he's running.
Yeah, movement on these.
He's probably just tipping over.
The thing to remember about these as well is they've been upped to match the amount of models that you need for Heresy. So previous to this, they were doing 5-man squads because you could use them with 40k effectively, and you still can to a degree. But these have now been turned into 10-man squads so that they fit the enormous amount of Space Marines that you need for playing the Horus Heresy, because everything is so incredibly killy in that game that you need to have enough bodies to make sure you get to the objective. So
say nothing, but the last time I ran Terminators, they were all 10-man squads, and that was 40k.
Well, there you go. Jerry has a Heresy mindset anyway. So.
Why not max out? I'm just saying. If I've got the option to put 10 things in a unit, I will put 10 things in a unit. If they want to give me 50 things in a unit, I will put 50 things in a unit. No half measures.
Talking of Terminators as well, just a little extra rumory thing to throw into the mix. A lot of people have been talking about rumors coming up for the next edition of Warhammer 40,000. Apparently, the little tiny dinky Terminators that we have now that only just reach the top of a Primaris Space Marine are going to be getting replaced in the new starter set whenever that comes next year or something. So something to ruminate on.
It was a matter of time.
Warhammer behind.
I thought you was going to give me some juicy Arnold Schwarzenegger gossip there, Ben. Some Terminator news. That's what I thought it was going.
He's coming back for another film. He's not old enough yet. There we go.
Please don't. Only so much de-aging you can do, and only so much private marsing you can do to other miniatures. Please stop swelling everything, Games Workshop. Otherwise, we'll be playing 54 mil. Actually, we will hit Inquisitor at one point, coming the other direction.
Suddenly, Gav Thorpe will be vindicated.
There we go. It's only a matter of time. So that wraps us up for another week's worth of news. We're going to take a quick swish, and we'll be right back.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right, we are back to wrap up the show, and we have a couple of Kickstarters to keep you on the edge of your seat. And we're going to be starting off with some corporate wars. Very, very astute for today's day and age.
Yes. It's almost as if they read a newspaper. No, so this is the folks at Crooked Dice who are back on Kickstarter once more for their Corporate Wars New World Order range. But in fact,
there I am when I was 19.
Oh,
there you go. But this is a new range that has been brought to Kickstarter, but it is actually a classic collection that was originally done by Jim Bowen and also East Riding Miniatures, who gave the license to Crooked Dice to create this for the tabletop.
Do you want to do it, or shall I, Lloyd? Do you want to make the bullseye reference? In fact, it's from Jim Bowen.
But yes, this is a selection of around 40 pretty detailed white metal miniatures in 28mm that you could use for a whole range of different games. But of course, they would be absolutely spot on for using with a bunch of Crooked Dice 7TV action at the same time. As I say, these are all based on a previous miniatures line that has been brought back to the fore that potentially would have been lost to the annals of history if it hadn't been brought back by the folks at Crooked Dice. And I think they've done a really good job of selecting some of the coolest miniatures from that original collection and putting them back onto the tabletop for everyone to play around with. Again, they're sort of around 28mm scale, but they'll be a little bit bigger in places as well because, you know, sci-fi often tends to be a little bit bigger. But you've got a whole bunch of different characters that you could use for both the good guys and the bad guys and all the good guys in between as well. So you've got some plenty of awesome miniatures to play around with there, especially if you're interested in kind of that sort of 80s, 90s era of sort of cyberpunky sci-fi goodness. Yeah. I think people would very much enjoy these. Not a lot of people have been looking at these and going, hold on a second, I recognize those from X or something like that, which is obvious. In fact, you can see some of those interesting characters down below that have been included as part of this range.
Which is what you mean.
But yeah, some very cool stuff there, which is nice to see. In addition to the work on the miniatures, from sort of like the old collection from Jim Bowen and all that kind of stuff. There's also a lot of stuff in here that's come from a range of other sculptors as well. So you have, I'm going to go through the list. So we've got Kev White, Mark Evans, Tim Prow, Shane Hoyle, Bob Ollie, Steve Saunders, Kev Adams, and Tom Meyer have all jumped in to have some fun with this one in bringing some miniatures to life that match the style of those original miniatures and all that kind of thing as well. And also from stuff that has come out over the last couple of years as well, which is very nice to see. So it's a very good selection for those people that want to be playing around with something a little bit quirky when it comes to their near future games on the tabletop. It's quite a condensed Kickstarter comparatively compared to a lot of the stuff by Crooked Dice that they've done in the past. Mainly because it's bringing back an old range rather than trying to bring something new to the tabletop. And it was also a very short campaign. So you've only, at the time of watching this, got about 2 days left for yourself to dive in and have some fun with this one. But if you are interested in playing around with some near future miniatures on the tabletop, I would definitely go and check these out, especially if you're a bit of an old school wargaming fan and you like your metal as well.
Ooh.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh,
Hello, Ed.
Yeah,
Yes.
100% on board with all of these.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
There's a Cobra Commander. Oh my God, I love that model. That's so good.
Yeah, I think they're all excellent and terrific for games like Street Wars, as well as.
I would totally do that.
Stuff.
I'd totally play a side scroller game with this.
You could do that. That'd be very cool.
And just have you just going along, kicking chin shades out of everybody as you progress along the table. Just build one long street and just have you walking along like Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage or Double Dragon. Rolling Thunder was another good one. We discussed this a long time ago, myself and Warren, about putting a game on at a convention and doing it on a level like 3 foot tall, but really long.
Wasn't it Prince of Persia?
It was Prince of Persia. I seem to recall. I think I mentioned that, and then you guys started running with it, but we never got around to actually doing it.
Well, there's always the future. The future is always there for us. But if you're interested in the Corporate Wars by Crooked Dice, like I say, you need to jump in this weekend. And if you're watching this later than this weekend, you should really join us on a Friday when we go live.
Okay.
Why not? This is
I will say that if you do miss the Kickstarter, the likelihood is they'll probably end up going onto their retail store at some point in the future. But the whole idea is that you want to get in there early and get these stuff when it's on Kickstarter because you get a little bit of a discount on it, which is always nice.
Very, very true.
And also, one of the nice things about this as well is that Crooked Dice have done about 1 billion Kickstarters. So it's not like you're backing something where you're like, well, I'm never going to see the miniatures. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So going back it and you'll feel like you're high on nuke. There you go.
Lloyd's seal of approval.
How dare you?
On the subject of survival games.
Yeah, there's a really cool, invasive party game up on Kickstarter at the minute. And it's going to make you question your friendship and trustworthiness of your gaming group, okay? So you are going to need to survive under all means necessary. And what I want to know is how far do your claws come out in a survival game? Because in this game, in Savage, you're tasked to endure the apocalypse. So you've got to make your way out alive, being your main goal.
Nothing massive, just the apocalypse.
It's just the apocalypse. That's the small bit. That's where you got to be careful. It's not just the apocalypse. You don't let your mind be at rest, not for once. It is a survival game. So whilst you're facing, as you say, the delights of the apocalypse, enduring to survive, you are going to come up against some savage sickos in the midst of you guys, which are your opponents, and they have got a hidden identity. So you are on your own, but you have to work together. So your goal is to escape the catastrophic event, and you're going to be left in this tense atmosphere of twists and turns and not knowing who you can trust at any point in the game. So you're going to have to manage a series of resources just to keep you alive. So you're going to be rationing food, setting traps, and having liquor aside. Not quite sure what the liquor's for, but I don't judge. It's no problem.
That's just to relieve stress later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if it's medicinal purposes or for stress, but either way, don't judge. And you'll have no option to join forces together. And you've got to hang on until you are rescued by a civilization that's formed outside the dystopia that you're in. So the downtrodden environment is said to be driven by greed and hate and caused by a social collapse within the history of the game. So it would be in the interest, you'd think, of all people to go and live a happy life. But no, there are obviously evil people within the midst, hoping to stop people from leaving. So the traitors, as I said, they're going to be in the crowd. They're going to be allied to take out the weakest link. So the good guy survivors are going to hope to leave. the fresh hell get out alive and rescued, but they're going to hope to take down a traitor amongst the ranks across 4 rounds. So there are several different pledges available if you're looking for a new party game, and it keeps everybody on their toes. So there's a standard input for the game for £28, but if you want something a little bit more special with upgrades to tokens and sleeves and stuff like that with an upgrade package,
gaming mounts and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, there's some more deluxe options. So it really is quite something that I can imagine keeps the room really tense. I mean, I don't think I can trust anybody on my gaming table alone at the minute, let alone with trust them of my life. So I think for quite a competitive group, it would be quite a nice one, because I don't often like getting into cutthroat games with my gaming group. I think this one would be a lot of fun, in all honesty, because there's a lot to think about, and I will always be guessing. I'm always on to them anyway. Always on to them.
Did they say what the apocalypse was?
No, I couldn't see, although it may be on
nondescript apocalypse.
End of days.
I wonder if it's Moonfall. The moon is crashing into the earth, because that was an amazing film that really needs something based on it.
The thing that I really liked about this is that it felt like it took the elements of Dead of Winter, but boiled it down into just a card game rather than it being a game with all these boards and tokens and standees and all that kind of thing. So you have the feel of Dead of Winter, but sort of distilled down into a shorter gaming experience on the tabletop. So it's quite nice. Mm-hmm. And I really like that you have... they've got that nice big deck of cards with all the different events that can happen and all that kind of thing as well. So hopefully with enough of those in there, there's going to be some interesting stuff that will happen every single time you sit down to the tabletop. And obviously you've got the fluctuations between it going right and it going wrong, which is cool. Other people being the traitors within your group as well is also going to throw things up, because some people will be very overt, some people won't, and all that kind of thing as well. So I think it sounds like a really interesting game to dive into, actually. So, yeah.
There you go. There are 9 days left if you fancy trying a bit of savage survival with your friends. And try not to let the moon crash into you, because that would be terrible. By the way, if you get the chance to watch Moonfall, you definitely should. It's an amazingly good film. Amazingly good. Oscar worthy. So, with that in mind,
very seal of approval.
We're about done for another week. Remember, if you want to win that big Lord of the Rings Battle of Pelennor Fields box, you need to do the usual. Down below, somewhere down there, do all of that like what you would normally do. If you fancy joining us on Sunday morning, we'll be back for our hobby chat with our Cult of Games members over on tabletop.com. But until then, a great week of gaming, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.